I'm like,
No, it's so official. Welcome, Myra. It's so good to have you
thank
here.
you.
I'm just so excited about the message that you're going to bring everybody listening today about empowerment and rewriting our narrative. And all of this is so aligned with what I like to bring to this podcast. And so it's just going to be exciting to have you. I know that you are an empowerment coach and you do a lot of this work, but I would like for you if you wouldn't mind to like introduce yourself and just like let us know who you are, what you do and what got you into this work.
Yeah, beautiful. Pleasure to be here with you and to meet you. It's just I've been looking forward to this. But about me, I'm Mayra. I was born and raised in Venezuela, and I moved to Ohio when I was 17,
Gosh.
and I've been in the U.S. since then. Let me try to distill it to my work now. So my mission is to work with women and to help them reclaim their narratives, right? My work is very much mindset, mindfulness. What are my thoughts saying or doing? Like being more in control of what's happening here so you can shape it towards what you want. Because I've come to discover the power of my brain and my mind and all my systems, right, was that through a really dark experience, and that was through panic attacks. I went through a period of time where I was experiencing panic attacks, and I was just in a really dark place, in a dark mental place. It happened after a traumatic experience after the arrival of my son. And truly, this was just the last drop on the full glass of trauma,
Yeah.
unaddressed trauma, right? And so it just became an opportunity for me to meet new parts of me, meet the shadow parts, and to learn to embrace them, be with them, give them some love. So, and also truly see what is in here. What are my capabilities? And why I'm saying that is, and I wasn't thinking of this in the times of darkness, is what and how powerful your brain can be when your narrative is not the right one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So now that I'm on the other side,
Yeah.
and I've always been very intentional about meditation and being self-aware and doing practices that help you slow down, ground yourself, get to know yourself more. That has always been an interest of mine. But I have to truly say that what fully brought me to this work has been this path of healing through my journey of panic attacks. Like it's like all these things were kind of happening. I was meditating. I've been meditating. Gosh, it's been like more than 5 years since I started meditating, and with that, you continue to get progressive awareness of yourself, your patterns. How do you go about things? But it wasn't until I went through this journey with my brain, which I call it. It's the journey that I got to really see what my brain is about, that I really started to narrow my passion, which is to coach women
So
through
awesome.
those narratives. Yeah.
Because you have been through it and that's what I love that is like you really understand what they're going through because you've been through it yourself. And so, and I like what you're saying. I want to touch on that for a minute, like bringing awareness, because that to me is always one of the first places to start is, we can only heal what we're aware of, right? So doing those practices to bring awareness. Do you ever I know you personally meditate, but are there other practices that you have your clients work through to bring awareness, like journaling, or what else would you say?
Definitely journaling. I know that's a favorite. Some people say that they just get like a download, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like a stream of consciousness. And that's any practice where you're finding yourself kind of observing the thoughts, the stories, that's the equivalent to sitting down in a quiet space and meditating, right? Or it could be hiking for you, right? You're like, I'm going to go on a hike. And that's kind of where I learned to hear myself.
Yeah.
Or I go to the beach and I'm just listening to the waves, or I'm just going on a drive. Whatever those mean to you, that doesn't mean that I just have to become a meditator to get there. Absolutely not. There's other ways that I know people are connecting with their true selves and kind of pushing the noise aside.
Yeah, pushing that noise aside so that we can get clear on, our message or what our voice is saying to us in order to find that awareness, because then again, like that's the only way that we can push forward and learn more. So I like that you have kind of worked from this healing angle. And can you talk to me a little bit about that? I'm not sure if it's probably stemming from your journey, but healing the past traumas, like how much are you diving into that, or how much do you think people should dive into that in order to then move forward, right? Like, are
Yeah,
we ever going to be able to heal everything, right?
right. And I'm laughing because I've done work in so many modalities, right? Like sound healing, regressions, coaching, therapy, like you name it, I want to try it.
Yes. Oh my God, same. I love this.
Because here's the because. Number one, this some of our traumas are generational,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not just what you experience in your childhood or adolescence or younger years and your adulthood, but some traumas may be old,
Yeah.
like really old. And so we only have this life in which you are in this form, in this now. And all this trauma is just getting in the way of you fully experiencing the love, the joy, the awesomeness that it is to be alive, right? And so the more I heal, the more I recognize that. Like how, oh man, like when I wasn't doing this work to get, and be with this trauma or this wound, I was basically keeping the filter.
Yeah.
Like I think, and what I advocate for people working on themselves is so you can remove those filters, and not only to find your true self, your true voice, your true essence, but to also in that process fully open and enjoy life to just its greatness.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I actually had somebody at my last retreat saying, like, she's like, it's just like shedding all of those layers. And that's like becoming, that truest self, or becoming like embodied as our current self, is when we're able to
Mm-hmm.
shed those layers off and get rid of all of that stuff that we're carrying with us, because it prevents us from being able to live in the moment and just enjoying life. My gosh.
Absolutely.
Everything you're saying is just like resonating so much. I'm like, I'm so glad you're local. Like we need to hang out soon. I love this. Um,
Absolutely.
I saw on your Instagram you were talking pretty recently about compassion. And if you could help me kind of describe like compassionate self-talk. I know that that is such a loaded question. It's such a loaded thought because it's hard to get there. But I mean, I'm sure that's something you work with people on, is learning that compassionate self-talk, and how we can start to reframe our thoughts and get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to be honest, it's a continuous exercise for me. It's
Okay,
not that,
yeah,
oh, I'm just apply compassion all the
overnight.
time.
Yeah.
Uh, no, but it comes with that intention, right? And it's about back to self-awareness. There's got to be a trigger where you're saying, oh, I'm having a lot of anxiety or feeling a lot of tension. What's causing this, right? Because the body is reacting to whatever the thoughts, the stories are. And so it usually stems from judgment or self shame, whatever this narrative that it's happening. So when I'm able to catch what is the story, and if I'm noticing that I am in shame, or I am, carrying some guilt about something, and I am judging myself on top of that,
Mm-hmm.
that's where I say, wait a moment. stop. And what I need right now is to, number one, give this space, not to push it away, not to deny it. Because that's the usual narrative, like, oh no, don't feel sad or keep pushing through. Wait a moment. No, let's give space first to what's here. And then I just apply the usual, what would I say to a friend that I really care about and that I see that they're in pain or that they're struggling with something? What would I tell them? And then I just apply that to myself. That is the easiest way for me to bring compassion back, is to think of others. Because it's harder for me to just naturally say, let me just give myself a dose of compassion right now.
Sometimes, like, until we're more settled into that practice, it feels fake even.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, because it's not your automatic, right?
Mhm.
And I love that you said that, because yes, at first it's gonna feel inauthentic, or what am I doing? Is that doing anything? But you're truly creating a pathway in your brain, connecting a neural pathway towards that then in the future it will become more automatic for you to access to this. So absolutely, just know that when you do it the first time, it's just not gonna feel smooth and authentic, perhaps.
Do you ever give people kind of a script of what to say, or do you more so teach people how to walk through, shifting those narratives, like you said, like just envisioning what you would say to a friend?
Yeah, those can be more specific. Like if I'm in a coaching session with a client, I definitely go to the opposite of what they are telling themselves, and it's led by them. Like, what would you like to remind yourself in this moment when you are facing, let's say that you are starting a new activity, something that's brand new to you, where your level of comfort is low, and maybe some words of doubt are coming up, or you're not good, you don't know how to do that, you suck at this, etc. Right?
All of it. Yeah. Oh
Right.
gosh.
Yeah. So I try to play with my clients with what would feel most impactful to them to say back to themselves. And it's basically an exercise. It's not, oh, I'm just saying overnight and I'm just going to feel better.
Again, yeah, exactly.
And what I also want to remind everybody is that the consistency and the practice is what ultimately leads to that change in the changing of the narrative. It doesn't happen overnight. I remember sitting with myself and be like, oh my God, when will these negative thoughts go away? Like, I'm working on this and I just can't get rid of them. And I want to. And then over time is when it's like the noise stops and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm not feeling as anxious about that, because now I don't have the, what do you call it? Like the people in the bleachers throwing tomatoes at you, from from the nosebleeds,
I love that you keep bringing that up, like that it takes time. And I want everybody to like really let that sink in, because I know for me, when I started my self-love journey, it was like, where is that pill? Where's the magic fix? Where is this overnight treatment? Like, give me whatever it is. Like, and it just doesn't happen that way. And just remembering that, I think like you're kind of, reminding me so much that the mixture of things that you're teaching people to do, and kind of your mission here of like, we do a little bit of everything. We're doing some of the healing, but then we're doing the new neural pathways, and like mixing all of those up is what's giving you that, that secret formula, but it still takes so much time for it to really sink in. But I love that,
I'm
like,
curious about how long you started the journey, just to put it in perspective for people
ooh,
as
I
well.
love
Like,
that.
when would you say I'm intentionally working on these things that are holding me back?
It's been about 7 years. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I'm just now starting to feel more confident. My confidence is finally coming through.
Mm,
But the negative narratives, I mean, they still come up. And
sure.
it's just, and it's like, I know when you think of it compared to the life, right? Like I'm 34 years old. And so it's been
Mhm.
like probably 30 years of these negative narratives building in and these
Absolutely.
experiences. And so it's like, in the grand scheme of things, how long it took to build this,
Hmm.
it's like, okay, it doesn't happen overnight. We can't just change it right away.
Yeah. I love that you're sharing that and that you brought in, it's been 30 some years
Yeah.
of this. And that's exactly what happens in your brain. And it's that concept of here's the highway for you to get to, the supermarket, right? Or are you going to go walking through the woods with the machete, cutting your way to get there? And that's what's
Yeah.
happening when you are integrating and introducing a new
Yeah. Oh, so
method of
good.
healing or a new
Yes.
practice.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to default to the highway, right, every
Yeah.
time. But the more you go to, no, I'm gonna keep cutting my path,
Yep.
eventually you're gonna make that highway too. And so I
Mhm.
also want to offer that for that reason, because the more you go through the new path, the less that highway starts to get dusty too.
Ooh, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such a good reminder. Yes.
Absolutely. So it's like, oh, it becomes unused because now this path,
Yes, we
the
want that new
direct way
path.
to do it.
Yeah, and we're learning to build it, right? So it's like each time that we reframe the thoughts, another tree gets chopped by the machete, right? So it's like just, every moment we can kind of rethink. And like you're saying, like it again, like it doesn't happen overnight and it's hard. And there's moments where I personally struggle. I mean, there's times where I will be in such a deep spiral of those negative thoughts that I like have that moment where I look at myself and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like you've been talking like this to yourself for like 3 to 5 minutes now." Like,
Mm-hmm.
and you catch it, but over time as that new path is being built, we catch it sooner and sooner.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
how do you catch yourself?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I think it's the awareness and it's just a pause. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I almost like finally calm down
Mm-hmm.
and have a pause and then I'm like thinking back like, wait, what was I just saying? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I was just saying that to myself. And I do get a little shame for sure of, oh, I was saying that. I can't believe I did that. But then it's like, then the reframe kicks in where it's like, okay, let's move forward. Let's have compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I compare myself to 7 years ago, I mean, I wouldn't have even caught it. I would have
Right.
just let it keep going.
Absolutely. And then it's like, for me, I get a lot of body information,
Oh,
like tension in the neck, recurring tension
nice.
in the
Okay.
neck, or the jaw, or like the pressure in the chest. To me, I mean, because I became very familiar with a panic attack, that was a
Yeah.
familiar one, right? To just feel like there's an elephant sitting on your chest, or like a knot in your stomach.
Ooh, yes, you can feel it.
Yeah. So I also want to invite, people listening to this podcast to, if you are not like, I'm not there to catch myself, to catch the story, but what is your body telling you?
Mm.
Like, you have this thing on your shoulder that you haven't been able to work through or get rid of for the last month? I mean, that's an indication of something, right? Your body is just full of information that when we get in this autopilot mode of being, we're missing it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. When you're not checking in. And like you said, back to the meditating and back to that kind of awareness where you're really able to sit and check in, then you're able to get it even quicker rather than,
Mhm.
or maybe ahead of time almost. Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
I love that so much.
I'm loving this conversation.
I
This is
know.
my
I'm like, this is so
favorite topic
good.
of
And I'm like,
conversation.
I'm just so happy. I'm like, you live so close. We could have coffee and chat. This is so fun. But
Absolutely.
I am like, oh, I love it. But
Yeah.
I want to ask you, like, um, kind of like, of course, where everyone can find you. Of course,
Mhm.
we want to know that. But like, how can people get into your retreats? I know that you hosted one in Bali pretty recently. We
Yes.
have to hear about this.
Yes. Oh, thank you for asking me about that. So, The Bali retreats, I will be leading my third one next year. I'll announce next month the dates. And Bali has a very special place for me. So I started going to Bali in 2016. In 2014, I went through a divorce. I moved from Tennessee to California.
Oh my God.
Started a new job. I mean, it was the worst transition time of my life so far. And I was just so lost, and I was depressed. And again, I had no support system. It was a new town. And so I started working with a coach to kind of shed and get some clarity. And I also had a therapist at the time, because it's different things, right? It's completely different actions that you're taking, even though they're both supporting healing and moving forward. So my coach at the time, she led a retreat in Bali. Mm-hmm. And gosh, as soon as I landed in Bali, there's just a different kind of feel. Even like an energy, a sense of calm, just a way of just, you feel different there. I don't know if you have experienced that.
I've never been there, but I know like what you mean, right? Like the different feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I kept going back to Bali, not only to more retreats, again, to continue to work on myself, work towards my healing. And then one year I just went to just explore all the healing modalities, right? Like, I'm going to go to this class and that class and this and meet this healer.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, like craniosacral, Tibetan bowls, this type of sound healing, this kind of yoga, you name it. So while I was there, in one of those times, I was just like, women don't get the opportunity to give themselves a space to intentionally be with all that's here, like all the life things, right? Because we just keep going.
Yes.
We have family, we have partners, we have friends, community, family, and you just keep going. And to truly like slow down, and I'm going to be intentionally with this. We don't do that enough. And so I just wanted to create an experience, a week for you to do that, to slow down. You're taking care of, you're just getting there. So that part I love, is you don't have to plan anything.
Yeah.
You just have to wake up and decide to participate. You can also say, oh, I'm in Bali, but I don't like the activity for today, so I'm just going to go do something else. But it's a week of variety of spiritual expanding activities. Yes, like and all of them, I've done them as well in the past. So these are like my favorite healers. And I just want to introduce you to that and bring you a little bit more growth, a little bit more healing, a little bit more self-love, and just so you can feel renewed again, right? So that's again the intention with my retreat. And I usually do 8 women max. And every year I just check in with the intention, right? Like, is this feeling aligned for me to do again? And while I was there in March, it was like, yes, I'm ready to do the next one. So I hope if anybody feels called to it, feel free to DM me, and we can jump on a call and just talk about it, answer any questions you may have.
I love it. It's so awesome. And I can tell like how passionate you are. And that's like something I love. Like even as somebody who's also a retreat host, it's like when you bring the things that light you up, that changed you, that helped you on your journey to others, like it's such a good feeling. And you know the practices inside and out. Absolutely. And you know the value behind them. So it just makes it so much more special, I think. So I love it.
And tell me about like your retreats. I know you're very active, and there's ongoing retreats that you keep creating. Tell me what keeps you motivated to do that, because it's big work.
It's a lot of work. So it's, not to be negative, but it is a lot more work than I thought it was. Let's be honest. It is hard.
Yeah.
Because so first of all, I just freaking love hosting. I love hosting. Like I'm always the one back when I was like single, in the single days, always having the girls over for wine and charcuterie and all of that. And I just love hosting people, but then my journey is very similar where I just for me it was a big breakup. We weren't married,
Mhm.
but I found the engagement ring and it's a whole story. I'll have to, tell you
Mhm.
sometime, but oh my gosh, I just realized that I was checking off the societal boxes and
Mm.
just doing the things we're supposed to, right? We think we're supposed to. And then I realized I didn't know who I was. I was
Mhm.
full of self-doubt, self-hatred. I was so lost. And I was very depressed. And
Mhm.
um, finally one day I just decided like enough is enough. I have to get out of
Mhm.
this bed. I have to get out of my house. Like, what am I doing? And so
Wow.
I did that thing. And here, like, we're so blessed in this area because there is so much that you can do and so much healing. And so I
Absolutely.
just went on Meetup, I think it was, and I like signed up for every activity. I was like, sound bath, okay. The Buddhist temple, the guided meditations, okay. This hike with, okay, everything, every single thing. And and so for me that's what keeps me going with my retreats is because I remember feeling so lost and disconnected and I remember that feeling of like not knowing
Mhm.
what activities would work for me or and I was scared to sign up for these things and go do stuff I hadn't done before by
Yeah.
myself. It was kind of scary. So it gets me excited when I can host a retreat and bring all of this to people and I know it works and I know that they can try it in that environment where it's a very safe and supportive environment.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so kind of similar, but
Okay.
I mean it's such a good feeling and the feeling after when you
Yeah, what
leave,
you see
right?
everybody go
Yeah,
through, like the aha moments, like the
exactly.
release, um, yeah, the opportunity to meet a new part of you.
Yes, yes. I'll never forget, like, after the very first retreat, I just couldn't stop crying because I was like, "These really?" I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, because 'cause you're just like the transition and you're like, "I did this, like, I facilitated, this event," and it's just the feeling is so you're on such a high because you see the transformation in these people, and it's just so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
love it.
completely share, and as you're sharing about your retreat experience, it reminded me of my first one. Yeah, I was just couldn't stop crying as we were doing our last closing circle, and it was just like reflections and gratitude for the week that we had together, and their insights, and it
Yeah,
really
right.
fills up your heart, right? It's like,
Yeah,
ah, my heart
yeah.
is full.
Yep, and you're like, "This is the work I wanna be doing forever." Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And those are the reminders that I bring in the moments where you're doing all this marketing and telling
Yeah.
people about it, and you are maybe not getting the signups that you're getting. And
Yep.
then you're like, oh, what is this for?
Yeah, it's hard, it's hard.
But then you come
And
to that, ah, this is
this is
this is
why.
the impact. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep
Yep.
going.
All of the stuff like, setting up the house, breaking down the house, just there's so much behind the scenes that you do, but yeah, I mean, exactly, like and I'm the same way, I want them to come and not lift a finger, just get
Hmm.
yourself to the house, you know? And it's more work behind the scenes, but I like that feeling of just, like,
Yeah.
I want them to be immersed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like that mama feeling. Like I don't know how your mom was, but mine just took care of everybody and
Mm.
everything, right? Or when you go visit your parents, you're like, just get comfortable.
Yeah, let me just relax.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, tell us your Instagram one more time.
Yes, my Instagram is Mayra underscore Hernandez underscore coaching.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm very active. Feel free to DM me. I just, even if it's to, connect. I'm
Yeah.
happy to. Um, I love creating new connections, meeting people, because we are all like there's this energy, right? Like what connects you to somebody else?
Yeah.
When I saw some of your posts, I just immediately thought, I like to talk to her. She just has a beautiful, loving something about her. Like, I don't know you, but I want to be near you and have a conversation. So,
Mm.
yeah, if you feel connected to me somehow, even through the screen, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah,
trust in that
exactly.
there's something else
Exactly.
for us waiting.
Yeah. And could you leave us with a self-love or a self-care tip? Just something that someone could go do tonight for themselves.
Yeah, one that I've been doing that I'm really enjoying. So I started this intermittent fasting 8 days ago. I just felt a need to bring a little bit more balance into my eating.
Mhm.
And so I've been journaling at the end of the day. Here are the things I ate and the times and how did I feel after, the food, and maybe some like insights. What were my insights from today, or what was my state of being? Like the
Yeah.
weather, if you were to say, what was your weather for the day? It was cloudy, or it was sunny. I like to recap about that. But what I'm finding really powerful is I am writing myself um, encouragement messages at the
Mhm.
end of every day that I've completed the fast. So I'm stopping eating at 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
And so at nighttime, I'm telling myself, wow, Mayra, you are so strong. I'm so proud of you. And I started doing that the first day, and I was just like, oh, this is a little silly, but I'll keep going. And then the second day, I was like, oh, this is awesome. These are some of the things that I wish I would have heard more in my childhood. And I just feel like I am refilling that need for my little self through this process. And that to me feels just very nourishing. So don't do the standard, good job, like be
Get in there.
specific and intentional with what you want to say that you are recognizing yourself for.
And you're like really rewriting those narratives in that way as well. Like back to what we were saying, it's you're chopping more trees
Absolutely.
down.
Oh, thank you you're connecting that, right? Because my narrative was, I don't have the willpower to
Mhm.
to be XYZ with my body, or to go work out, or so through this process, and by celebrating, acknowledging that, wow, look how strong you truly are.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
am exactly through that process rewriting the old narrative of you
Yeah.
don't have any willpower.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing. Oh my gosh, I love
Yeah.
it. It was so good talking to you. I just can't wait to, continue to stay connected and
Of
everybody
course.
go and check out that profile. There's so much in there that are like juicy little nuggets of information. So just thank you again so much.
No, thank you for giving me the space to connect with you and to connect with your audience. So I'm just very grateful. Yeah.